I didn't understand. I was like, we're really gonna make her arrive underwater? Like, that's not good for her hair.
Here's the new villain. We beat the new villain. We move on. Here's the new villain. We beat the new villain. We move on. Here's the new villain. We beat the new villain. We move on. Here's the new villain. We beat the new villain. We move on. Here's the new villain. We beat the new villain. We move on.
Run. Welcome to Potages, your friendly 8-legged dog bus companion through the 2020 Digimon Adventure reboot. This week we're discussing episode 35, The Glowing Angewomon. I'm your host, Jeff Wooberg, and for my guest this week, I'm excited to welcome back my friend and the world's #1 collector of Dragon Quest slimes, Lawrence. Thanks for coming on the show.
You know what? Thank you for having me here, Jeff. Very excited for this episode and to be featured on this episode for About It.
So I know that you're officially employed as Lady Devimon's stunt double.
Yes.
But you've been out of work for a while because you haven't made any appearance in this season.
Yeah, I think they're waiting to have her make a big splash. So they just threw like a Marine Devimon in today to kind of sub for her.
Yeah, just saving, like, we're going to get a bigger appearance later down the road.
For sure, and you'll know when I arrive.
All right, so what's your Digimon origin story? How'd you get into the franchise?
Okay, so I started watching the first season on like Foxbox or whatever when I was like a kid, but I think I didn't really like get so into it until like season 2 and like Tamers. But I mostly played the video games like in the 90s, like in 2000s, like Digimon World was one of my favorite. Digimon World 2 is a mega favorite because I like that it was like a weird mystery dungeon crawler. And then Digimon World 3 is incredible because I like the weird card game that it had in it.
You didn't like Digimon World 4 with the swords?
That was the GameCube one. I think I deliberately skipped that one.
I didn't play any of them, so, leg up on me.
Jeff, come on. You're missing. That's like where I learned about most of the Digimon, like on site, because there's like, 700? And like they're all in the games and like not really in the anime as much. Or I guess now they kind of are.
Well, I tried to get into Next Order when it came out on like PS4, and I was like, oh, this seems like the kind of game you need to be a child and have infinite free time to play. So.
Yeah, but did you do Cyber Sleuth?
Oh yeah, Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory were great.
Okay, like there's no denying that those are incredible. And then I'm waiting for Survive, which I hope is good.
And we hope it comes out ever.
It has to. I mean, Digimon and Tactics, that's like a match made in heaven, right?
Yeah. So of the seasons you've seen, which is your favorite?
Okay, so my favorite has to be Tamers. I love Renamon like a lot, and I also like the card system that they had there. I like wished that was in like the games a little more. Or just like somehow like I don't know, did they ever like use those cards in like any like of like the kind of Tamagotchi things or anything like that?
There was one VPET that I remember having. It was the only one I actually had, which was for that season, and you could swipe cards into it to do stuff. But like, I don't know what it was actually reading because I think it could just be any kind of card. So like,
okay. So just whatever. I just like that because like the functionality of the cards was really cool and like how it was like kind of upgrading them on the fly. And I thought like the 3 core Digimon were kind of like the coolest that we've seen from like the main trainers. What Digidestin? What are we calling them?
Tamers.
Tamers?
Like the title of the season, yeah.
Okay.
So who's in all the franchise? Who's your favorite Digimon?
Okay, so I do go back and forth. You called me in on a good episode because some days it is Angewomon, other days it's Lady Devimon.
Depending on like how evil you feel for the day.
Yeah, like have I eaten yet? Do I have to go to the gym? But maybe I'll just say it's, what is it, Mastemon? Like when they come
the combination of the two?
Yeah, I think that one's sick.
And depending on whether you count Lady Devimon as a villain, do you have a separate favorite villain?
I'm going to say she's an anti-hero, so I would have a villain who's not her, and I would say it's Wormmon.
Explain.
I like that Wormmon was nervous about everything and reluctant to be a villain and was really bad at it and was really cute.
So you don't like his like character arc throughout the whole season. He's like in the beginning when he's like just like a henchling.
Yeah, I like that a lot more. I think he was like cool as like a hero and like his like DNA evolutions were fun, but I liked him as the villain because he was just very cute and bad at it.
I think when he got his glow up and became a sexy bug man, but
Well, yeah. Well, don't they mostly have that kind of glow up?
Yeah, I guess so.
Except Biomon or Piomon. Which are we going with here?
I mean, Garudamon, I think, is pretty high up on some people's lists, so.
As hot?
Yeah.
It's like a dinosaur bird.
Well, who's of the main adventure kids, the main cast, who's your favorite kid?
I would have said, I would say TK
Mm.
because I like Patamon, and I was really surprised to see Pegasusmon
Hmm.
show up here. And that's another one of my favorite Digimon. So I felt like he's checking the boxes for me.
Okay, so that brings up one thing that we haven't directly addressed yet. How much of Adventure 2020 have you seen?
Okay, so I watched up to, I don't know, 20 something episodes. I saw where Garurumon get the Sagittarius mode, and then I watched all of that, and then I like stopped watching.
So you saw the already hot Wergurumon get even hotter, and then you
Yeah.
quit the show?
Well, I didn't know where to go from there. Like, can you top that moment?
I guess the show hasn't really done it, hasn't topped that, so made a good call.
It was like really cool that like I don't know, has that form appeared probably as like a card before, right? But never like an
No, that was the first time, and I think it since then has appeared as cards. But
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, because it felt like it finally bridged the gap between why he went from hot werewolf to robot again.
Hmm.
And like it made it make sense. So I felt like all my questions were answered at that point. So I kind of like moved on. But there's nothing to draw me back more than Angewomon.
So you basically stopped around then and came back for this episode. Were you confused by seeing things like Pegasusmon appear but not be explained or anything like that?
Are Digi Eggs back or whatever they used to do that?
No. It just happened.
Oh, what happened to Anjumon?
Well, so like I think you at the time you stopped watching, you saw like Angewomon appear once and then
Yes.
and then die,
Yeah.
and then after you stopped watching, he like showed up once briefly, and then also like Patamon passed out afterwards.
Okay.
And what they kind of apply in the episode where Pegasusmon appears is that like he's exhausted, or like that path is closed off to him. They're kind of vague about why it's closed off to him. So then, through trusting in Tucker, they form a new evolution path. But there's no Digi-Egg or Digimental or whatever. It just happens, and I think it's mainly so that Takaru can ride him.
Okay. So are we thinking Tailmon hyphen slash Gatomon will get Nefertitimon?
Maybe, I don't
Because
know.
that would be lit. Because Rosetta Stone is my favorite attack and language software.
Yeah, the number of language software that also are Digimon attacks is pretty low. So
Duolingo.
who could have a Duolingo attack? Well, anyway, what's your hottest Digimon take?
Well, you kind of said it. I was gonna say, is saying where Garurumon is hot, like as a non-furry, a hot take, or is that just like universally accepted?
Yeah, that's just universal.
Oh,
I think even people who aren't furries, like they can't deny that part of themselves when they see him.
yeah. Like, well, I also like when he digivolves that it's just getting jeans and standing.
Yep. That's how I feel when I put on clothes in the morning. I put on jeans, I stand up, and I digivolve. Yeah.
Yeah, I go from a all fours wolf.
That's how I sleep.
Wow, hot take aside from that? I like Skull Greymon more than Metal Greymon. Is that hot take or is that normal also?
It's kind of hot. I think actually liking Nefertitimon is pretty high up on there, and as a hot take though. So
Why? It's cool. And well, okay, can you answer a question for me? So like I thought Pegasusmon was like supposed to be maybe stronger than Anjumon, which is like why he stopped using Anjumon in O2.
no, in 02 they can't like
they just couldn't do it.
Yeah, because of the dark towers, whatever they're called. Like
oh, that's why then Vmon like starts to just normal digivolve.
Yeah, like once they clear out Ken and show him who's boss.
Oh, so those egg ones like suck. Like they're like a lesser version.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, well, that like ruins my whole like tier list I had in my head.
I mean, I think they're cool to show like the kids trying out different tactics and stuff, but
yeah.
But yeah, they don't. I always thought that was kind of boring in 02, how like they have all these different forms, and then once they get to champion, they
never use it.
Yeah.
Well, and then I don't think I have any hot takes then. Skull Greymon is great, and Nefertitimon is great.
Skull Greymon is your pure innocent boy who never did anything wrong.
I think. Well, he's lovely, and he's great in the games too.
Okay.
If that means anything. Yeah, I'm not a big Metal Greymon fan.
That's fair. He's been in the show too much, so.
I think so. Is this like a big Metal Greymon safe zone?
No, he's not safe here.
Okay.
Well, I guess one thing you missed in the chunk of episodes you didn't tune in for was that Metal Greymon got a Dark Evolution, but it was not to Skull Greymon. So
what? Why not?
It was to Machine Dramon.
Oh, they did that? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Let's jump into this week's episode.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so episode 35, The Glowing Angewomon, aka Not a Cat, Not Yet an Angewomon, aka, and this one's not going to make any sense to people who don't watch Drag Race, but aka Miss Angie, Miss Angie, Miss
It's
Angie,
Angie.
aka All I Want to Do is See You Turn Into an Angewomon, aka I Know Now, without a doubt, Hikari Yagami is light.
I think these are very clever, Jeff.
I was like, I have no ideas for this week. I can't think of anything. And then like all the references came pouring in, and now there's too many.
I'm partial to one of them.
Which one do you like?
Of course, Miss Angie.
Oh, okay.
Really funny.
I'm disappointed that you don't like the Sora line.
No, I like all of these. You know, I'm always here for Kingdom Hearts as light reference anywhere that could be shoehorned.
Yep. Well, okay, so for spoiler policy for this episode, we're going to talk about everything in the Crunchyroll episode, including the stuff at the end, the next episode preview and stuff, but not anything past next week because I don't know it. I don't know if it's been leaked online. I haven't seen it. So we won't talk about any other titles. And we will potentially mention plot reveals from the original adventure. But if we talk about plot reveals from other seasons, we will give you fair warning. So yeah, in this episode, suddenly the gang can all breathe underwater because of Marie and Angemon just giving them that ability, I guess. Kind of like Final Fantasy X, with like 3 characters can randomly breathe underwater, or can hold their breath indefinitely underwater.
That's right.
They start heading through a sea cave. Tailmon and Greymon fight off some mines and Bijamon. Bijamon gets struck by Black Lightning and evolves into Gusokumon and is defeated by Metal Greymon. Tailmon reflects on being trapped as Dark Knightmon, which is something I guess you missed mostly, but yeah, she reflects on that and is afraid she might still be corrupted. The dog bus gets pulled down by Marine Devimon once they think they're clear, and everyone gets separated. Tailmon starts to get infected by Millenniumon's shard and tries to attack Taichi and Hikari until Hikari stands up to her. Tailmon defeats her inner saboteur and then gets her magical girl transformation and murders Marine Devimon. And then at the end of the episode, Koshiro calls and says that the ISS is fallen and then he needs Taichi's help.
That sounds like what I watched, yeah.
Yeah. This was... I am so sick of hearing them talk about inner saboteurs in Drag Race, but this was the one moment where I'm like, okay, Tailmon, she did literally defeat her inner saboteur, and then she got a magical girl transformation, and she put on her drag. Okay, it finally worked.
I mean, maybe Rue was onto something this whole time.
Yeah, Rue is definitely a Digimon fan, for sure.
Yes, and all the queens are her Digidestin, for sure.
Oh, God.
It was an episode. I don't know. A lot happened, but like not much happened.
Yeah.
Right? Is that fair?
No, yeah, I think like there aren't a lot of events to write down, but it's like the whole first battle was basically inconsequential aside from triggering Tailmon's like thoughts and reflections and stuff. But like we had to go through a whole fight scene just to get her to think about that stuff. So it felt kind of like, okay.
Yeah, I definitely didn't like that lobster fight. Like, wasn't my flavor. But I did like that. What's that attack that she was doing with the whirlwind?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That was interesting.
I didn't know she had an attack like that. I just thought she was all like punches and stuff. So that was neat to see. She kind of like laid out all those mines.
But then couldn't actually do anything because Middle Grandma had to do everything for her.
With his large body, that was ripe for being attacked by the enemy. But then it didn't matter.
Oh yeah, but Sora was just like body shaming Piyomon, was like, you can't fight, you'll be too big. Like, I was like, that's a little mean, but I mean, it's true, but also that phrasing was a little rough.
It was problematic, yeah.
I think especially, like, I don't know about Birdamon, but like, I think Birdamon would have broken plausible, like, the suspension of disbelief, because it was already silly that they're shooting fireballs, they're like floating in the water and stuff, and it doesn't make any sense. But if there was a fire bird in the water, it would be even more absurd.
It would have made no sense. Like, Metal Greymon, you can, I guess, see him lumbering around in the water, but like a full just like on fire phoenix makes no sense.
Yeah. One thing that was mentioned in the so last episode did this too, where they revealed like a major plot point in the recap at the opening that had never been mentioned yet. This one was minor in that like they're talking about getting this Faga thing that they want to reach, and like the recap describes it as being the center of the continent, which I don't think had ever been mentioned before. But oh well, they've explained last episode that Faga is basically the like place where the largest shard of this evil Digimon landed. So that's kind of what they're setting out to do.
Yeah, the whole shard concept new to me.
Yeah.
That sounds like a last 10 episodes kind of thing, huh?
Basically, they defeated Devimon and then fell to a new continent, and then it's like, oh, new problem over here.
Okay, and this is like the MacGuffin that they have to like collect or destroy?
Yeah, they haven't been going around and collecting a bunch of them or anything. I think they're just like heading to the main big cluster of them.
Okay.
2 episodes ago, when they found out that Dark Knightmon was Gatomon, it was kind of like Dark Knightmon was trying to sacrifice themselves and Tail and Hikari
Okay.
for like a resurrection ritual, but it failed. So now Tailmon is trying to Tailmon is like has most of her memories intact, so she's kind of just like leading the charge and telling them where to go and stuff.
Okay. That makes sense. And now she's like able to use that as like a stand or like a persona.
I guess so. I don't know if that was like metaphorical or literal, but like, because then there was one shot where it seemed like she just got big, and it was like,
Yeah.
is this like a shadow and she just got huge? And it's, I don't know.
Well, she had like a lance to like Greymon or Metal Greymon's like neck or something,
Yeah, like
right?
Hikari stood in front of whatever Lance attack thing, so like, I guess it is kind of like a persona now or a stand.
That'd be fun if she could use that as Angewomon. I don't see that happening
Oh,
though,
yeah.
but like that.
So hearing about like the stuff that's transpired over the last 10 episodes, are you more or less intrigued to go watch that stuff too?
I feel obligated to go back and watch it, just to see like how we got here. And I do want to keep watching now that Angewomon is in the picture.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I was just waiting for her to come back so I could start watching.
Well, I really do hope that they, now that she's there, they have a moment for Lady Devimon, because
She always follows like right as Angewomon arrives. You usually will see.
I mean, I thought maybe like, because it's a bummer that like in the original show, Angewomon premieres for this like big dramatic moment. It's like the end of a big arc, end of a big villain. And this one, I was like, it's going to be some random episodic thing they run into, and I guess it was. But I was hoping it would at least be Lady Devimon. It would be cool, but
Yeah, I didn't understand. I was like, we're really gonna make her arrive underwater? Like that's not good for her hair. And
yeah.
then it was kind of a throwaway villain too. Like Marine Angem no, sorry, Marine Devimon is like never made sense as a Digimon to me. And like to see him be what Angewomon makes her arrival for, kind of whack.
Yeah, both Marine Devimon and Marine Angemon are pretty weird and bizarre. And Marine Angemon was in last week's episode, so
Well, yeah, I've never understood that. I feel like they like misnamed that one, like Marine Angewomon, because it's like not visually like a holy Digimon. Is it a holy Digimon considered one though?
it definitely is. But I don't know like what is it like? What real life thing is it based on?
I don't know. It looks like algae or something. I don't understand it.
Oh, it's called a Cleone,
Okay.
which is also known. It's like an aquatic species found dwelling in cold waters, which is known as a sea angel.
Okay, that's cute, I guess.
Yeah, it's like it's too big brain for Digimon though. You know, like
Yeah.
oh, it's a small floating sea slug.
Oh, but I don't. But it's like it's totally unrelated to like these other holy Digimon kind of,
Right.
right?
Like yeah, it's too weird.
Like I remember like seeing Marine Angemon in like Digimon World 2 for the first time, and it like evolved from like a weird nothing like side Digimon,
Hmm.
like maybe like I don't know, I don't want to say anything, like the Betamon like
Oh yeah,
Digimon.
like some other sea thing.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't understand how this is related to my favorite like two Digimon.
Well, you know,
Anyway, I don't want to drag Marine Angemon this whole episode.
I mean, some people's drag just isn't up to snuff, you know. So. But I'm trying to think what else happens. Like, because I feel like everything that happens this episode was like kind of by the book, and it's like, oh yeah, great, we got Angewomon, but like the sequence, the evolution sequence itself was like fine. I don't know. It wasn't the most magical girl that it could have been.
No, I thought that they were gonna. I mean, I guess they kind of like zoomed in on the limbs becoming like a hand and like a foot and like her little anklet. That was once her like tail ring. But yeah, I don't know. Is it like the general consensus that like the evolutions are pretty lazy aside from Garurumon and Greymon?
Yeah, kind of. Like some of the other ones have like a tiny bit of flair. Like that Zudomon one has like a he like puts on the shell of one of his enemies in the sequence, and it's like that's kind of cool. But overall, I think yeah, people are like they go from being one thing you should go check out definitely. Oh, you'll see it if you go back and watch those episodes. But like War Greymon sequence is fantastic, but also it's fantastic because it's Taichi.
Oh, War Greymon's here.
Oh yeah, he's here.
He's up here. Oh shoot. Okay.
But he's also really big this time, so like that's probably why he didn't appear this episode because he's huge.
So it's like notable that like the Digimon are humongous in this series, right?
Well, I think at least War Greymon.
Okay, because it has like a more kaiju feel to me. Like
Hmm.
I don't think it registered to me that like Kabuterimon was like a skyscraper. Like in like the first series. Maybe he always was, but I can just like feel like the sense of scale like varied in the first series. And in this one, they're like big.
Yeah, I think because they ride their Digimon so much that it's like we see like Koshiro on Kabuterimon a lot, so yeah, I think it makes that difference more exaggerated or makes it feel bigger.
Yeah, but like Lilymon is like tiny. I always knew she was though, but she's like the size of the kids, right? Or like a little bigger,
Yeah, I think she's
maybe.
like a little bigger. Yeah.
That I like that episode a lot. I don't know.
Hmm.
I'm bringing up the past episode, but I thought her evolution was really cool against those robots.
Yeah, I really liked her like kicking the robots. Those are great. Those great kicks.
Can I ask about like some Digimon that I'm missing from the series if they've appeared?
Hmm.
Has any Mamemon varieties appeared?
Oh yes, but it wasn't in a good way. Are you a Mamamon stan?
I am, and I'm also an Edamon stan.
Okay, no Edamon. That would have been a huge. That would have made huge waves. But there was an episode. They did. There is some Mamamon genocide that you're in for if you go back and.
Oh no,
um,
that's upsetting.
it is a little upsetting, but it's kind of comedic, so I don't know. Might enjoy it.
I feel like the Mamemon like variety of Digimon are like very classic Digimon. Like I feel like they represent like the first wave kind of.
See, I can see this now because like they kind of are the closest thing to Dragon Quest slimes and Digimon, so I can see why you like them.
They're like mindless smiles, like balls. They're very cute though. There's Metal Mamemon. That's a cool one.
I think I think the group that appears in I forget. I think it's like 25 or 24. But I think it's mainly Malimon and Big Malimon, the like big balloon ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's 25.
Are they holding back on showing like an Edamon? Are they afraid that that would usurp?
I don't know. I'm worried that they like. I feel like Edamon's too comedic for the tone of the show. That's my fear. They're never gonna do it.
Yeah, he should have like already appeared by this point, right?
I mean, I guess like they're not following that closely. Like they did Devimon, but like it's not going like by the same plot beats.
Okay.
Like they've already got like they had Machine Jamon show up fighting Devimon, so it's like it's already wacky in terms of like that's like a final arc adventure thing fighting the
Yeah.
first arc adventure thing, so it's already pretty wacky.
So I know like from like just like seeing the comments like under the Crunchyroll videos, like people are like, "Oh my god, there's no like cha-cha, and I'm not getting to know the characters." Personally, I'm like, well, kind of watched this already and like know all the interactions, so I kind of like that it's like remixing the pace
Hmm.
for me, and like I'm getting to like see my favorite Digimon quicker.
Hmm.
Like I don't know, we got to see like ultimate level Digimon in like by like episode 10, right? And like
Yeah, but then we waited like another 20 episodes for them to do something else with that. So
that's fair. That's fair. I just felt like in the original it took like 10 episodes for like Agumon and Tai to like even like each other.
yeah, like I think it definitely sped up, put pedal to the metal on some things, and that's kind of cool. And yeah, I think it works because it's like it works for returning viewers like us because we already know what these characters are like, so we can just kind of graft on that old personality to the new designs or whatever.
Yeah, like I'm assuming Mimi is exactly who I met the first time around, except now she like wants hamburgers and like to shower more, you know?
I think she's to some degree like a mix of that plus a little bit of like what everyone kind of assumed about her, but like wasn't actually text in the original show. um, like in some of the recent, like apparently the thing that she's doing right now in this point of the
Mhm.
show is that she's I don't know, like encouraging Togemon to fight off like a Golemon. I don't know. She's like basically leading a fight club, and like in the original show, like Mimi would have been like, no violence, like
Yeah.
don't fight. Like why do people keep having to die? And it's like, so this is more in some ways it's more comedic, but there's very little other comedy in the show. So
Well, she's kind of always the comic relief.
oh yeah,
I will say, I guess my one disappointment with this series is that, and I was gagged that she like did not hate Togemon or think Togemon was ugly or anything. Like she was like, "Oh yeah, you're now like a cactus that doesn't fit my aesthetic, and I accept you for that." And I feel like didn't the first time around she was like, "Ew, please don't do this. Like stop looking so uncute."
yeah. I forget there was some line. I think it wasn't the first appearance, but it was later where it was like, I didn't like you at first, but then I eventually got used to it, or something that was like,
Yeah,
I remember being like, that's not Mimi. I don't agree with this. I'm gonna pretend it didn't happen.
But I find her likable. Like her introduction being that she's like the queen of like the Tanemon.
Yeah, like having her be a queen, it felt like they were leaning into like what everyone like wants out of Mimi.
Yeah, like clearly they've like gone on like my oh my god, what are those AOL websites used to be called? My GeoCities.
Yeah.
Like they checked out my GeoCity like website about Mimi supremacy.
I mean, who's the bigger gay icon, Mimi or Angewomon?
Oh, that's unfair. I think like Mimi's like an obtainable icon, and like you can relate to her. Angewomon is like kind of like too elevated,
Hmm.
so she's hard to relate to. But like her look is undeniable, right?
Yeah.
Which like I don't know. I feel like I don't see that like cosplayed or like done enough.
Angewomon?
Yeah, like the times I see it, I'm like okay,
I mean, I guess it is tough, especially with like the wings and stuff. Like,
and like scarves floating. It's an iconic look though. I don't think it's been ever recreated. What's the evolution for Angewomon?
oh, okay, this is controversial because there's two, and they're like both of them are canonical in different things. And so there's Ophanimon.
Yeah,
Yeah, like she's like more like a lady, like like kind of like Angewomon with armor, and or Magnemon slash Hologimon, who is like the dragon thing that was in that movie.
that one. Okay. Yeah. I like the one with the green armor.
Okay, so you don't like the dragon one.
I don't understand.
I think it might. I think the fandom might be divided on like a furry versus non-furry divide there.
But okay. I think I like when they just become people. Like it makes the most sense to me. And I feel like the final forms seem to just be like normal people, like across the board. Like for the Digimon I like.
I think people defend Magnemon because it's like, oh, it's going back to the kind of like Gatomon, like animalistic roots, I guess. But yeah, I think a lot of people defending Magnemon, Hologimon just do it kind of out of spite or like because it's the underdog.
But I mean, are we trying to actually make like Gatumon's evolution line make any sense? Because
No.
she starts as like a puppy.
Yeah. Puppy to cat to magical girl.
Yeah. To dragon, I guess. I don't accept that.
Let's get into some through reviews.
Yes, let's do that.
At Andy Lucas OE said SpongeBob Fire Physics.
I can see that.
They basically are in a pineapple under the sea in terms of realism with his water at this point.
And what's the cute like dog that they're raiding?
Oh, it's called the Commandomon.
Okay,
I just call it the dog bus.
I'm a fan. Okay. Joseph Snosef says Patamon saying Ebidramon. And there's an emoji.
You have the little ooh eyes.
Yes, thank you.
I did not notice that particular moment as being particularly ooh, but everyone has their own ooh. So at Dak and Jaxer said, "Smite the Finners." Clever pun.
Then we have bored individual saying Hikari means light.
Gasp. I did note that one moment where like it seems like Tailmon is implying that like I forget exactly how it's worded, but it's like she's like, oh, that's why that's your name, and it's like that's not how naming children works, but
Very heavy-handed. I think that is how naming works, and the mother like preordained, very like Kris Kardashian.
what happened with Kris Kardashian?
Well, she's like a momager, and she decided she's going to make her child a successful Digidestin,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
giving her a name that fits.
I see. I feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing what was going on there is that like the Japanese line is a little bit ambiguous. I think she was saying like she heard or like knew that like the light would guide her, but like in that statement, like the light was actually the name Hikari, and so she's like, oh, that's why it said Hikari because Hikari was the person, not the light. But
It was heavy-handed regardless.
oh yeah, like I think it's even more heavy-handed because like in the English dub of the original adventure, that apartment complex there in Titan View Terrace, but in the original Japanese it's Hikari ga Oka. So it's like, oh, this girl who has a light crest who is named Light in a town called Light. Like, great.
So clearly she's a harbinger of darkness then.
Oh yeah, she should be.
Yeah.
At Mugen Jerrymon 22, Dark Knightmon, Kitty Jaeger. I was confused, and then I remembered that Dark Knightmon is kind of like a Pacific Rim Jaeger. So I think that's what they're referring to.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah. I was like, Aaron Yeager? Like, what does he have to do with this?
Yeah, I was like, oh, are we switching to an AOT podcast? Okay. We have Happy ×2 meeting or X2 meeting. Telmon's evolutionary trauma. Yeah. I don't remember. Was her evolution so traumatic in the first one? She was like a wizardmon, like puppet or something.
No. I mean, it's like traumatic about like Wizardmon's death, Right. So like,
Is that what sparked it?
yeah, and it's also like there's the trauma of her getting abused by Myotismon for like
Yes.
years before or whatever. And so like it's kind of like the I don't think she has that same like trauma of being afraid to evolve. It's just kind of like she evolves into Angewomon and like it's kind of the culmination of like her revenge at Myotismon, like a revenge fantasy kind of. So it's a little different, but I feel like it was nice how they explored how she's like afraid of the little like evil inside of her. It's kind of nice
Hmm.
to explore that, but also like it doesn't come anywhere near the emotion of that scene from the original show. I went back and watched that evolution sequence recently after watching this episode, and I was like, oh, that was so cool.
Yeah, her trauma the first time was like real, and like you felt for her. I went before watching this podcast or doing this podcast. I went and watched the slap fight between Angewomon and Devimon, Lady Devimon.
I guess that is the more important Angewomon appearance. I always, before I came out as bi and had
Hmm.
a bit of a gay awakening, like I always found that flat slap fight like very sexist and gross, especially when like Hikari's like cheering them on and is like, I don't know.
Oh, and they're like, "Oh, women are scary"
Yeah,
during it. It's very like that. But I feel like it's kind of camp at this point.
yeah.
And doesn't it kind of remind you of like the slap fight that Tifa has in Seven?
When's
Oh
that
my
happen?
gosh, I'm forgetting the character's name that she has a fight with. Let me see.
It's really important if you don't remember who she slaps.
Tifa slap fight. She fights Scarlet from. Do you not remember this? They
I
like
do
were
not
like
know.
on top of a large building, and like Tifa has like a you have to like press X or something a lot to like win a slap
No,
fight against
I
Scarlet.
don't remember that. The first thing I found when I searched it was a an entry on the Sci-Fi Stack Exchange that said, "Why do Tifa and Scarlet have a slap fight?" And it's just someone being like, "This has been bothering me since I was a child. Why does this happen?"
Oh, it literally makes no sense because up until that fight, like Tifa has been known to like destroy robots like with a punch, and like why is she bothering to slap this like very not a fighter like weak woman? You know?
Oh, that's bizarre. But yeah, like that's that play in Digimon. Like now when I look at it, it reminds me of like an episode of Drag Race Untucked, and
Yes.
which like I can enjoy the camp and the fun of it, but also there are lots of fights in Untucked that I'm like, this has gone beyond the like, I don't know, like they're not actually like addressing, I don't know, like it, especially when it leads to like real world harassment and stuff. Like there's
Yeah.
a dirty underside to all that stuff. But if you can ignore that, it's fun, I guess. Mugenjimon22 said, Celestial Badass Goddess.
Well, then I have to agree. And Queen.
Yes.
Pastelmon underscore art says Tailmon learns drag.
And NNN underscore podcast said, a giant woman.
Yeah. Here's one. Cici Takato says, I love Angewomon, which I think is a sentiment we all agree on.
Yeah, controversial take there.
Yeah.
And this will be a good launching point for a discussion. CRM McRae said, Tailmon, Angewomon, Blitzgreymon? Question mark. So Blitzgreymon is the at the end of the episode when they do the analyzer sequence, and then it's like next week on like who's that Digimon? The silhouette was of this Digimon Blitzgreymon who has not been introduced in the show yet and doesn't make any sense to appear. So it's kind of like what is going on next week? Because basically, Blitzgreymon is like another mega form for like an alternate of Wargreymon, kind of. So it's like Wargreymon or Taichi's gonna get a second mega before anyone else gets any other megas. So
Yeah, I like saw the silhouette quickly and I was like, oh, like Wargreymon's coming. And I'm seeing that that's now incorrect.
no, that's a bigger Wargreymon. That's like a buffer Wargreymon, I guess.
Okay, because now I've learned today that Wargreymon is old news and has already appeared.
Yeah, yeah. He showed up a couple times. Actually, wait, like I think like all the episodes you watched are the ones where he like because he starts to get teased for a couple episodes and then he shows up proper and then he shows up a couple more times and then it's all about a car instead. So
Well, that's kind of my preferred route for the show's sake.
yeah, I think okay. I have some more thoughts about Blitzgreymon. We'll save
Okay.
that for when we get to the next episode preview. So onto some listener questions. First comment from Andy Lucas OE said, really enjoyed Tailmon's dilemma and fears about evolving this episode. Glad it wasn't a one episode and done thing, though I felt like Angewomon was a teeny bit wasted as a reveal here. Maybe it's because they didn't play Hey Digimon, or because angels have typically debuted against overarching villains rather than episodic ones. IDK, something to me at least, felt off about seeing Angewomon now like this. Hopefully it's just me, and upon rewatch, it'll be better, but I'm curious if anyone else felt the same way. I think we felt similarly that it's weird that it's like a random baddie that doesn't even
Yeah.
talk or anything.
Definitely not just you, Andy Lucas OE.
Although the Hey Digimon, though, I don't know. I went back and watched that original sequence from the original Adventure dub, and I was like, I forgot Hey Digimon played during this. Like,
Yeah, it kind of took like a dramatic moment and made it like like Saturday morning, like
yeah.
eating cereal, which is not what I felt like that moment should have reflected.
I mean, as a kid, I was like, oh man, this is so hype, this is so exciting. So it kind of worked for that.
I don't know if I ever liked Hey Digimon. I felt like it like took the show in like a different direction. I feel like Extreme Fight is good
Yeah.
as like a catch-all song for anything time something dramatic happens.
I definitely had some kind of Stockholm syndrome and like worshipped any song that appeared in Digimon as a kid, which I look back on now. Like I even had right, like recorded them on VHS and then took a cassette tape and recorded the songs played back from the VHS.
Oh, that's genius.
But like it wasn't just the things that we think of as songs. It was like Metal Edelmon having like a 2-line like blurb. And I was like, oh, he said this in a sing-song voice. Let me get this on tape.
You should release that as like your first EP.
I should. Uh, I do have a recording of that cassette tape on my iPhone, so it is forever. I can always pull it up whenever I want.
You need to drop that. Put it on Spotify.
Oh my god. The next comment from Mugenjimon22. They said, I find it interesting how Gatomon described the armor of Dark Knightmon as a shell, something that encases her, while Angewomon, her true evolution, is very liberal in her clothing choice. You can say that again. Funny that angels are a biblical reference, however, this context makes her feel more pagan by theme, at least in the way she describes it. I always appreciate characters who embrace femininity as a power symbol, and then quotes, I'll kick your ass and look beautiful while doing it. Yeah, I think that's a cool like framing of like Dark Knightmon being like a thing that she puts on and Angewomon being like more revealing. And my primary concern with Angewomon being having revealing clothing and stuff is more just like, please limit the male gaze on it. And I feel like this episode wasn't too bad in that respect. So
Yeah, I felt like it's kind of just what she looks like at this point. We've known her to look like this for so long. So I feel like they didn't really like focus on like zooming in on certain parts of her body to like exhibit male gaze.
yeah, like there wasn't like I think this was like as tame as could possibly be expected from this design. Like as long as there aren't like jiggle physics or like
Yeah.
awkward like back breaking poses to
Yeah.
Well, okay, so on to some quick questions. At Dak and Jaxter said, we haven't checked in with Mimi, Joe, or Matt for a couple weeks. In your minds, how have their side stories progressed? So I told you what was happening with Mimi. What would you guess is going on with Joe?
He's studying for exams.
Yeah?
Really?
Well, kind of. He was studying in an onsen or like an outdoor like hot spring, and then got trapped in the on spring because there was a Nanimon sitting in there with him.
Good.
And now there's like a bunch of Nanimon, and now there's also a Blossomon like has him like caught up in her vines. But he was initially studying in the hot spring, so basically.
Half right.
And Yamato's just running in a field, so.
Yeah, so they're like not up to much. Like why did they separate to start?
So they got flung apart when Dark Knightmon attacked at one point. And I was so excited when they got flung apart because I was like, oh, we're gonna get one episode per character, right? And no.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
It's the Greymon show.
Yeah, for better or worse.
Mm-hmm.
It was briefly not this week, right? We got Angewomon. So
that was exciting for me. That was thrilling. So yeah. Hopefully we got more of this.
So next question from CRR McRae. Tailmon's character this episode was good. Shame the biggest thing this episode was Blitz Greymon showing up for the next analyzer. Why is Taichi probably getting 2 megas before anyone else gets 1?
I feel like we just said it. It's like the Taichi show. Like he's getting so much preferential treatment this whole series.
So I have a thought about this though, and it ties into what the actual like language is for the next episode.
Okay.
Or, like in that preview, they talk about like like what they say in the preview is like to stop the ISS from following Koshiro takes a huge gamble, and it just seems very Koshiro focused.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, it's very Koshiro focused, but we're getting a new like Taichi evolution. And then I looked into like Blitz Greymon some more, and Blitz Greymon like in the lore is so this is like the first line of their profile, is a subspecies of War Greymon armed with electric-powered weapons. So now I'm thinking that like there's something about Koshiro that influences his evolution. That like he's getting like the electric powers from Kabuterimon kind of.
Not like a DNA moment.
I'm thinking not DNA and maybe like some weird like, I don't know, both of their crests flash on screen and like, I don't know, maybe DNA, maybe a combination evolution, but maybe just I'm thinking maybe we're gonna get like Taichi evolving with each other kid, like
I was gonna say because there are like 500 different like mega Greymons, right?
I thought there was a ton. I looked and there's only like 5 or 6, which is still a lot.
That's enough. That's
Yeah.
enough for each person.
And like I tried to categorize them by like element. So there's like for electricity, there's Blitzgreymon.
Sure.
For fire, which could be Sora, there's Ancient Greymon or Kaiser Greymon or slash Emperor Greymon. So those are two things from Frontier, and they're both very fire themed, so that could fit Sora.
Sure.
There's Shine Greymon from Saber slash Day Squad, who is light themed, so that could fit Tucker or Kari. But I don't know about Mimi or Joe, like nature or water. I don't know. Marine Greymon?
I'll just skip those.
No, we need Marine Greymon, who's just a little slug.
Just a sea anemone.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm kind of intrigued if that's the route they're going, but also like I'm probably reading too much into it.
No, I like your theory, and I'm going to stick by it. I think that's what's going to happen.
All right. The other weird thing is that like usually Blitzgreymon is paired with a evolution for Gabumon, a Crescurumon.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, maybe Crescurumon's going to show up, but like I don't know. There's also other like a couple different alternate forms for like there's also Zeedgurumon and things. So like maybe Yamato's also going to get alternate evolutions. I don't know. Probably not. Probably just Taichi.
Well, I want like more crests and like more merch items to
You
show.
just want merch. You just want capitalism.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not getting sold enough toys by this show.
Well, so at Crimson Rhyneck asked, why don't the kids care about Commandamon? I guess they did kind of like, they found him, they were worried about finding him, and then once they found him, they just went off and went for Hikari instead, so. Poor dog.
He did what he had to do, and they were less concerned with him.
I mean, once they can breathe underwater, do they really need the dog? Like,
Yeah, it felt like he just like maybe moved a little faster than they could have underwater.
Yeah.
But I don't think they really seemed to live or die by what he was up to.
And it kind of made sense when they were in like, oh, I guess you didn't see last episode, they were in like a water current, so he was kind of just like riding the current. But this one, he's like paddling himself. I guess he has 8 legs, so that's pretty good for paddling. I don't know.
I liked when he was getting dragged down into the depths of like Marine Devimon's lair, and he like had no expression on his face. Like didn't move at all.
Me.
Yeah. It's like, okay, this is fine. This is occurring to me.
So next question. This is kind of a continuation of a previous tweet, but I split off into a separate question from at Mugenjamon22. I don't understand why Tailmon killing Millenniumon turns her into his slave. Any ideas? I don't assume that was like, you know, like Tailmon and the other Holy Digimon defeated Millenniumon. They turned into eggs, and then like once they were eggs, they were vulnerable. You know, like the shards still existed, so they got corrupted as an egg or something. Like I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I don't think there's any like grand conspiracy going on there.
Yeah, I kind of got the same impression. Like they were just eggs.
Just eggs.
Yeah.
You know, like you can like poke an egg with a little needle and inject some evil into it.
Yeah, like or just like influence it. Like while it's being born. I don't know. It seemed like it was just like they were just influenced as eggs.
Yeah, like there was I think it was one like the where Garurumon Sagittarius episode, like where like the egg was falling into the pit and they were like worried that it would get contaminated. Like that's kind of what I assume happened with Tailmon's egg.
Yeah, I think the Digi eggs seem to be vulnerable to dark influence in some capacity.
Yeah. So that question was from at Mugendramon22. This one's from so it's a lot of backstory. So there were 2 listeners, Gigajamon22 and Megajamon22. And last week they changed both their Twitter handles to be Mugendraymon22 and Gigadraymon22. And since last week they've both evolved into, now one of them is Mugendramon22 and the other one was Mugendraymon22. So it's very hard to keep track.
So they're getting stronger each week.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So at Mugendraymon22 said, Tailmon has Darknightmon inside her and is scared to evolve because she'll turn evil and needs her partner to balance her out. Had they just turned Tailmon into Mekumon and Hikari into Mako? I really hope not. Not because I dislike Mako, but because that story hasn't been told. So yeah, these are referencing the Tri characters that I did not particularly like how they executed that stuff with Mako and Mekumon. And I think this is different enough that like it did not explicitly remind me of those, but I see how on paper they are very similar. Yeah, I think the worst of the Mekumon stuff comes in the final part of Tri, which you haven't seen, because they just kind of give up on her. Like they're like, we need to save her, and they just kind of stop caring about that at the end. But so that's why I think this feels completely different to me. Like I don't really see Taichi murdering Tailmon. So
no, I mean Tailmon is here to stay,
and I kind of feel like the darkness is kind of like done now. Or
yeah, it seemed like she's been purified. I don't know that she'll go back to dark. I mean, it would be kind of devastating if she ended up turning into Lady Devimon in the future episode.
Would you be devastated or would you be excited? Come on.
Devastating in like a good way. Like
you want to be devastated, yeah.
Yeah, I want to be devastated. Like, can Tailmon turn into Devimon, or is it like that like side Talmon, like the darker.
I mean, probably, like, there's so many different ways, like, especially if you look on, like, Wikimon, which lists all the ways that Digimon can evolve or not, it's like, there's, like, through all the different, like, VPET mechanics or video game mechanics, or, like, there's probably at least one path for it.
Yeah, it says, because I know I've done it in the games, that Lady Devimon can digivolve from Black Gatomon, which, I don't know, what if they just change it so that it can come from Tailmon and then we'd be kind of getting both queens from one?
I mean, I remember thinking when, like, they were fighting Devimon earlier that, like, that Devimon could have been Tailmon, and in the end that wasn't true, but, like, was it that different? Instead, Tailmon was a different Digimon that was with Devimon? Like, I don't know. In the end, it's kind of, I don't know.
I think what you just suggested would have been more fulfilling.
Yeah, because Dark Knightmon didn't do anything. He
No,
looked cool, or they looked cool. She looked cool.
yeah, they.
I was misgendering Dark Knightmon the whole time. But and the last question from Andy Lucas OE said, replying to Megadramon's comment last episode about voice actors. So this was a comment last week talking about like asking why it seemed like so few Digimon talk and like are voice actors really so expensive and stuff. And Andy proposes if you didn't want to employ other voice actors, why not have it so the partner Digimon translate for them? AKA like Agumon speaks dinosaur, Gabumon speaks mammal, Biyomon speaks bird, Tentomon speaks insect, Gomon speaks fish, etc., etc. And that would be an interesting idea. I feel like it's still probably they wanted to reduce the script and like just make it be this kind of series that focuses more on action than dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
And also like, I don't think the like bulk of like voice actor cost is like number of voice actors. So like, if you give more lines to the same voice actors, that probably still increases the cost, you know? Like, if you double the script with the same people, that means they have to record for twice as long.
Yeah, I wonder how. I'm not sure how that works, like in Japan, how they pay VAs. Because like, don't we do like day rates here?
You probably know more than me, so.
I'm pretty sure for here they like come in to the studios, they get like a day rate, and most voice actors like will do like a few shows like in one studio session. So I don't know that like an increased amount of lines would increase their rate necessarily.
Oh, I see. Because if they could do it all in one sitting, then
That's what I think, but I don't know how it works over there. Like, it could be a different system because I know there's like a different kind of regard for voice actors in terms of like they got more say on things.
I know that they like typically record scenes with all the voice actors present that are in the actual scene, which feels crazy to me. Like that just feels very inefficient. But I mean, it's worked for them for so long, so.
Were they doing that in this year of 2020 and slash 2021?
I think they came up with ways around that initially, but then like Japan has like fully opened up for
That's true.
most of the year, so like they probably went back to the normal system.
I forget that the rest of the planet is finding ways.
Yeah. Well, I think they partially were okay enough that they didn't need to have systems in place, but also were just being irresponsible. So yeah, I don't think it's necessarily like, it's not like New Zealand where they actually have things together.
Yeah. I've seen those like nightclub videos from there. I'm so jealous.
Oh.
They're like living.
Well, okay, so that's before we close out this episode, do you have any final thoughts, or should we jump into giving it a rating?
Final thoughts are Angewomon looked great. We got to see two of her attacks. That was pretty good. I thought she was just gonna do Holy Arrow and kind of ended immediately.
It was kind of interesting how she like had to kind of get the arrow from Hikari.
Yeah, like is like Hikari's light energy the arrow's power? I don't know.
It kind of reminded me of like that moment where she like turned to Hikari and was like asked her for like, oh, I need your power now or something. It kind of reminded me of like I don't remember which Zelda game, probably Wind Waker. But like I was used to like, okay, as Link, you do everything on your own, and then I went to go fight Ganon, and it's like Zelda's there, and it's like I'm gonna shoot arrows while you fight, and I was like, whoa, mind blown.
Oh, that was Wind Waker, and that was iconic.
But like this is kind of like that, but not really. She's kind of just feels like she's just there to float and then be on the sidelines and be like, hey, I'm participating too.
Well, if Kyrie is like her quiver, I wouldn't mind that. That'd be very funny and cool.
They would be kind of like if she like shoots multiple arrows and has to keep turning back to her and like loading up. Like that'd be great.
Like taking the light from her.
All right. So speaking of that, out of how would you rate this episode out of 5 holy arrows?
I'm gonna give this. Can I do like 3 and a broken arrow?
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
So like 3.5 or like 3?
Yeah, I'll do like 3 and like an arrowhead.
Okay.
I thought it was okay. I didn't like the villain at all. Like for being how Angewomon appears, I feel like Marine Angewomon is or Devimon is like a pretty weak opponent
Yeah.
with like no personality or character.
Well, I don't know what to. I feel like I'll give it 3 stars. Like I feel like it would have been a 2.5, but like just Angelomon's presence in general bumps it up to a 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are we being generous because of who appeared? Like, if it was this episode and like I don't know, it was any other Digimon, would we have rated it this high?
Oh no, no way.
No.
Like if it wasn't Angewomon who appeared, it would have been like a pretty. Well, I mean, I guess we got to see some like character development between Tailmon and Akari, and we got to see like Akari reflecting on her past. That was kind of neat. That's kind of more characterization than we've gotten from the rest of the show at all,
Hmm.
or like more introspection than ever. So that's kind of neat.
I think just like having her appearance and like anticipating it the whole episode made it like fun to watch.
Yeah, yeah. Like even though they had that introspection section, it's not relatable introspection at all. It's not like even though
No.
she's been through this trauma, like her talking about the trauma was not. It just didn't like flag my sensors for good character writing at all. It was still just like very vague and I don't know.
Okay, so I'm glad you feel that way because I felt like maybe because I didn't see the previous episodes, like that I wouldn't understand why she was so distraught. But even you're saying it felt like a little too vague.
Oh no, yeah, like
Too vague.
this is kind of the first time that stuff's been brought up. Like they like physically took down Dark Knight Mama 4 and like freed Tailmon, and then last episode like Tailmon and Akari fought together a little bit. But this is kind of the first time they've actually discussed it. So I think you got the full story basically in terms
Oh
of
no.
yeah. But I think you should go back and watch this. Like
I was hoping I missed something because I thought it would have informed us a little more, but it feels like there's just nothing to be informed about. I'll still go back and watch. But
okay, so MVP this episode, like it has to be Angewomon, right?
it's yeah,
Okay.
across the board.
It's kind of offensive that I even asked.
The real MVP is Marine Angewomon, who let them all breathe underwater.
That's true. In terms of like keeping the kids alive, like Marina Angewomon did 1,000% of the work. Yeah. All right. So next episode is titled Operation Satellite Sniper, and it seems like Metal Greymon and Atler Kabuterimon are going to be fighting a golden beetle thing in the sky. And clearly Blitz Greymon is going to show up because they're in the analyzer. Yeah, I don't know. This. Are you excited for this premise at all?
No. I think the next time I'll be excited is when we get a Rosemon moment, but I'll watch. Maybe. I think your theory has me excited about it.
Did you enjoy the like little thing where they like that like arc in Tokyo where they were fighting Aizmon and stuff?
I did. I like that everyone was there and they like worked together and like kind of did like group attacks. I thought it was like neat to see because I feel like mostly just like Greymon like tackles the main enemy and they always have like the B plot.
Yeah. Well, like this premise seems kind of reminds me of that like Tokyo thing because it's like they're in the digital world, and then it's like
Rocket.
yeah, like then Koshiro calls and is like, "There's some urgent thing. We need to do some elaborate thing," and then they just like for one episode get transported somewhere else and do a thing, and then go back to the digital world, I guess. But I feel like it seems like it's more like that like Omegamon episode of that. Because at least that first Aizmon episode, it was like kind of cool and spooky, and like all the kids. I guess they weren't all the kids. That was later. But
no, that was really cool where they were like in fake Tokyo.
yeah, like the spookiness was cool.
But I don't know. This seems like they know what's going on. It'll probably just be a cool fight to watch.
Yeah, hopefully it's like it seems like it's gonna be a big action spectacle. So maybe it's gonna lead into that action spectacle well. Hopefully, I guess.
But I'm gonna be upset if it's not what your theory was. You have like heightened my expectations for the episode.
Yeah, it'll ruin it for me too if they don't do it. I think I have a regular segment where we guess if characters are actually going to speak, but I think like Taichi and Koshiro are obviously going to speak.
Yes.
Takaru and Akari, this is kind of teasing things. They weren't in the actual teaser on Crunchyroll, but there's an extended preview, and they were like in the background of the extended preview, so they're going to be there. I don't think they're going to talk.
No, a cameo at best.
But like that shiny gold beetle thing they're fighting, probably not going to talk either.
No, just killed.
Just killed. No lines, just killed.
Maybe like a death gurgle.
A death gurgle. They have a specific voice actor doing the Commandamon voice who like only recorded the like woof lines, so you know.
Was it like someone in accounting or was it like a voice actor?
I think it's like a normal voice actor, but
okay.
All right. So that brings us to the end of the show. Last week's Digiprompt was, in honor of Daipenmon, what other Digimon would you want to see in giant form pushing an entire city full of Digimon? And my favorite response came in from @AndyLucasOE, who said, Edamon,
Yeah.
He built that city on rock and roll. So not only is it sturdy since it's made of stone, but it'll also be easy to move because it rolls. Ah, the puns are too powerful. Like, if that actually was a concept in an episode of Digimon, like, that would not be a cringe pun. That would be like, that would be amazing. Like, that would.
Yeah, that's like what we deserve, but I think you kind of highlighted that they're avoiding the power of Edamon.
It's true. He's too powerful for this show.
Mm.
So this week's Digiprompt is in honor of Angewomon's debut. What Digimon would you want to see get a magical girl evolution with a full magical girl transformation sequence? You can send those responses or general feedback to potages@gmail.com, to @potages on Twitter, or in the episode comments on potages.com. Share the podcast with your friends who suddenly have the extremely convenient ability to let people breathe underwater. And it would be awesome if you leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It only takes a couple minutes, and each review helps a ton. If this is your first episode, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever else you find podcasts. And if you want to follow me on social media, I am Definitely Jeff on Twitter, and you can also check out my general anime podcast, Love It or Weeb It, where we recently talked about Great Pretender, which is the same thing I said last week. So soon we're going to be covering Eccentric Family, which is also pretty fun. And hopefully Lawrence will also be appearing on that show eventually.
I would love to. Love the pod. Loved Annie.
You hate the pod because we hated Dragon Quest, but
Well, that'll be a discussion that we'll have on that pod.
I liked it, to be fair. I think it was really good.
Well, Annie needs to revisit her opinions.
Have you kept up with Dragon Quest?
Yeah, I watch every episode like
okay.
the minute it goes live.
Okay. It looks. I heard like doesn't think people are talking about it much anymore, so I'm kind of worried.
It might just still be me talking about it, but I think it's like fun and it feels old school and old fashioned.
Okay.
But that's kind of makes it fun. But it's like beautifully animated.
All right.
I don't know, I like.
Well, Lawrence, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a fun time.
It's been my absolute pleasure.
So if people want to find you on the digital world, where can they go?
I have so many things to plug. You can find me on social media at Lawrence Cerberus.
That was clearly not a pun you thought of saying out loud.
No, it's not. I like changed my username and everything like recently, so I'm not used to saying it out loud. But it's like how you would spell Lauren, and then like the C at the end, you would just use that to spell Cerberus. Does that make sense?
Well, I'll have a link in the show notes in case you don't get the pun.
Okay.
But I think it makes sense. Well, thank you everyone for listening, and I'll be back next week to talk about episode 36, Operation Satellite Sniper. Bye.
Bye bye.
And remember, never stop digivolving. I guess you're okay with missing the Super Bowl. I forgot. I didn't realize I was scheduling you during the Super Bowl.
I am okay. The halftime show is not a gay icon, so I could miss it.
Who is it?
It's who is it? It's The Weeknd.
Oh.
If he has Ari on, because they have some songs together, I'll be pretty miffed that I missed it for this.
I say that I'm like forever waiting for a Final Fantasy Tactics sequel, but I mean,
You kind of got one on like, was it the PSP or the Vita?
yeah, there was
A remake, I guess.
Tactics Advance. There was the remake for PSP. There was Tactics Advance for GBA, A2 for DS, and there's like a pseudo spiritual successor through like the Brave Exvius spin-off gotcha game, but
Yeah.
that doesn't count.
I think that counts because it legitimized Ariana Grande as a Final Fantasy character. So
Okay, but she's in Brave Exvius, but not. I don't think she's in the Tactics spin-off. So
no. Well, I just want to say that I like Final Fantasy Tactics Advance because March is the villain, and I think that needs to be recognized by everyone.
it's true.
Thank you.
He's basically like, you have a better life in this world. You don't have to. He just disregards everyone's preferences and.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So you like having lovely hair? I'm gonna take you and snatch you back to your world where you hate your hair. Cyber Sleuth, they should make an anime about that.
Yeah, I think that would work really well. Or like, even if they don't follow the story exactly, like that kind of setting would be really good. You could have like teenage protagonists, like have real world things going on, or like high school age protagonists. Like it could be Persona demographics and.
No plans or thoughts about that, huh? Like they've never broached the topic. Okay.
But I think hopefully that like once this season is over, that opens the door for more Digimon things. But who knows? Digimon might just go into hibernation for another like 5 years again.
Really, I would feel like they're almost, well, to me, they're obligated to do like adventures too, because now I need Wormmon.
Yeah, maybe. I feel like they have to keep going. I feel like they, on some level, probably going to keep going with something because they have like the card game and like other products that they're now like churning out that probably would benefit from having continued marketing on a regular basis.
But they notably don't like to support things that are outside of like original adventures, right? From my understanding.
I think it's just the return on investment has always been lower. Like when they've done anniversary box sets and things like that, it's like the sales are always like, like 10 times higher for adventure related
Okay.
stuff. But I think Zero Two is one of those things that's like it kind of counts as adventure, kind of doesn't. So like I think it
It
could.
totally counts to me. It's like all the characters are like pretty much the same, and like everyone comes back in some degree.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that could work, but I don't know. People have a lot of thoughts. People get mad about either way. So I think it would be cool. But also think that like this adventure style where it's like almost always focusing on Tai Chi and like it's all action, no discussion, no dialogue, no emotion.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, well, would that work for Zero Two? Like I don't know. Especially when it leads to like real world harassment and stuff. Like there's a dirty underside to all that stuff. But if you can ignore that, it's fun, I guess.
Just say candy means.
No,
Just kidding.
I mean, I know you're a Lawrence Chaney stan, so I
um,
don't approve of her. So.
one of my friends got me a cameo of her for my birthday
Oh
the other day.
wow.
And that was a moment.
Did she like reflect on your name?
Yeah, she mused about that we had the same name.
Oh.
I felt obligated to like anyone that has my name, but like offhandedly, I'm not a huge fan.
Wait, you tweeted about there being two Lawrences, right?
Yeah, the second one is Tia Coffee.
Oh, I hate her even more. Wait, do you like her?
What? I actually do like Tia.
I mean, I don't like hate her, but
I find her charming.
I thought she was charming at first.
What happened? What changed?
I don't know, like nowhere near Candy Muse levels, but like I think I found her like being angry about being called basic so often. It's like, but I'm also like open to like I've heard that like once they come back from the break that they like everyone's transformed to some degree. So like
I cannot wait to see that.
yeah, so I'm keeping my mind open.
Well, but who's your favorite queen then from UK?
I think it would have been Estina. That ended quickly.
Wow. I agree. I liked her a lot. That was a weird elimination.
Yeah, but so now I'm like I don't know who to root for, so I'm kind of like left with Taste and Ahura. That's kind of all I'm interested in.
Okay. I like Taste. I feel like her red look that she did for like the musical episode would have been a more successful monster look, like for a vampire, than this last look that she just did.
Oh yeah.
I kind of didn't like this like Frankenstein moment.
Yeah, I don't think I like loved any of the looks from the last episode, so just kind of like pretend it didn't exist.
Except Ginny.
Wait, what was her actual look?
I don't know. She's like a toxic witch. I don't really.
Oh yeah, that one I like that one because it had the same toxic waist sign that Gilmon has when he evolves. But
And I think that's what she was going for.
yeah, definitely. I mean, like that one look where she had like just a bare ass, like that was referencing
Baramon?
sure. I couldn't think of I couldn't think of a joke to finish that punchline.
Is it a question? Is it Baramon or is it Kumamon?
Okay, this is controversial.
Okay.
There's been like multiple releases. Like I think there's like in one of the Digimon World games, I think it's called Kumamon.
In 3, yeah, it's Kumamon.
Yeah, but then there's like a different Digimon who's originally called Chalkmon that in the Frontier dub they called Kumamon. So now there's two different Kumamons
Oh,
in
no.
English. But the one from Digimon World was originally Baramon. And this show is Baramon, I think. It's hard to keep track.
So the official canon name that we're going to go by is Baramon now?
Yeah.
Oh, I hate that.
I mean, it has a hat that says bear, so it's easy to keep track at least.
I guess so. I've noticed like it's been fun watching it like the sub version this time around because I primarily have like watched this series in English or like played the games which kind of are doing whatever they want, I feel like. So just seeing like how they're translating some of the Digimon names is like surprising to me.
Yeah, there's a lot of I think that like these names have been very like quote unquote faithful to the like Bandai's like official romanizations, which I often disagree with, like Orgemon, like putting the R before the G, and I'm like, no. That was clearly written by someone who didn't speak English, so it's fine if we change that.
Yeah, some of it's questionable. But it's weird to me like when like it's like fully not matching like the name on like the printed cards.
Oh, but the printed cards, like, yeah, like with the new card game, they're going with English dub terminology. So, like, that doesn't even fit with this show's official subtitles now. Like,
Oh, word. Okay.
yeah, it's rough. Do you think if I wore Bearmon's hat into a gay club and said it was a Digimon reference, what would happen?
I don't know that would read. I think people would assume that you had a certain proclivity.
Yeah, like what if like all the bears come up to me and I'm like, no, this is a Digimon reference. Stay away.
Well, maybe that would get you a new audience.
True, I should really be advertising
Yeah,
at Gay Clubs.
but it's like how you would spell Lauren, and then like the C at the end, you would just use that to spell Cerberus. Does that make sense?
Well, I'll have a link in the show notes in case you don't get the pun,
Okay.
but I think it makes sense.
It looks good in writing. It doesn't look good to say it.
That's why you need to workshop based on how things sound too.
Okay, I'll take that into consideration for my next name change.
Like I made a poll. Like I basically recorded myself saying Definitely Jeff and then sent it to people and asked them how they thought it was spelled before I changed my name. Because definitely has one F, but definitely
Yeah,
has two Fs. So I was like, well, people know.
it's a little challenging, I think, but it made sense to me. I found you.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, well, I am sometimes.